Hey family, my name is Luke and I'm here with Eric Freedom. I'm the head coach here at Reason Fitness. Eric is the founder of our gym, and together we have 25 plus years of experience in coaching fitness, nutrition, and wellness, and our mission here is to help develop happier, healthier people in the San Gabriel Valley and greater LA area. And today we are talking about our new series. It's called Fitness Forever. What's up, Eric?
Forever.
How's it going, man?
Makes me think of when we used to say phoning forever. Inside joke.
Fraser Forever works too, but we don't like him.
We don't talk about that guy here.
Yeah, he's canceled.
Wait, what? We love Fraser. What are we talking about?
I'm joking. The question that we're kind of answering today and we're chatting about is what does fitness look like within each decade of life? We've talked about fitness in our 20s. We've talked about what fitness in our 30s look like. The question I think for today is, what does fitness in our 40s and 50s look like? And you could probably, if you want to go like two-parter where you answer the 40s first and the 50s, or if you want to just go together, that's cool too.
Sure.
But yeah, so in your experience, like what's fitness look like in the 40s and 50s for most of the people that you've coached?
I was gonna say, in my experience, I'm not 40 yet, so
You're pretty close.
I am getting kind of close.
You're getting up there.
It's funny because I think in the spectrum of aging, I look at a lot of people that I've coached over the years, and there's a lot of people that I've run parallel lives to. I was just talking to my wife about this, how we have 3 kids now. We have a 1-year-old, and we're talking to Diane about this, and like we're not out of like the trenches. Like we're still in the trenches of these very challenging years of being parents of young children. And it's a hard season that takes a huge toll on you. And I'm in my 30s. So
yeah,
I see the people that I've coached personally and just in general, when I look at people that are in their 40s, it's been this culmination of half a decade to a decade of maybe putting others first.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
Being sacrificial, maybe building building a business or working on these things that are for you, but not are about you and for you, but not necessarily deeply for you.
Yeah. Like they don't really serve you.
They don't really serve your health and fitness.
Yeah, your health and fitness. Yeah.
So
if you were to categorize like top 2, like these are the 2 things, the 2 greatest things to overcome.
Yeah.
In your 40s and 50s for your fitness, like what
I
would
would
that be?
say from what I've seen, and you could probably agree with based on the 40-year-olds that you coach, are probably this trickle down effect and culmination of unhealthy, convenient eating, probably because you're so busy, combined with sleep deprivation.
Yep.
But then what I also see for a lot of people that are in their mid to late 40s is a resurgence of, hey, it's time for me to care for myself.
Yeah.
Right? Because the kids are getting a little bit older, and it's like, hey, what about me?
Yeah. Well, it sounds like what you're saying, though, is it sounds like there's like a cyclical kind of like nature around, okay, you spent the last decade of your life giving, and because of that, you don't get enough sleep, you don't eat enough food, you're probably not exercising very much, right?
Yep.
And then because of that, it's also harder to get back into exercising.
Yep.
So there's kind of like a cyclical effect, but like, how do you overcome that?
That's tough, man. I mean, I don't think that there's a one size fits all like game plan.
Yeah.
But what I do think is it always starts with a inventory of what are your most important values in this season of life, right? And a narrative that I've been trying to live in myself as well as teach others is that it is actually selfless to be selfish. I'll say that one more time. So a narrative that I'm trying to live in more now is that it is actually good to be selfish so that you can be selfless.
Yeah. So but define selfish. Because selfish could just
Yeah.
be greed, right?
Yeah. So I think in this decade, it's very hard to want to take care of yourself because there's so many other responsibilities. But as I talk to more and more people in their 40s, if you're in your 40s, depending on how old your parents were when they had you,
Yeah.
your parents are typically getting into their 60s and 70s,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Sometimes even mid 70s,
Yeah.
right? And if you look at that, so in your 40s, and as you get into your 50s, you're really thinking about those things. But you can kind of start to see 2 decades later what happens if you do or don't take care of yourself.
Yeah.
I always say, if you want to be awesome at 80, you better be kick ass at 50. Like, if you really want to be like healthy and fit at 80 years old and just shining, well, you better be amazing at 50 and 60.
Yeah. Yeah.
You cannot afford to be average.
Yeah.
Right.
What do you think it takes? Like, what does it take to be
yeah.
amazing at your fitness?
So
within your 40s and 50s?
so again, it goes back to maybe being a little selfish,
Yeah.
but being I think it's actually selfless because when you take care of yourself, you are now preventing yourself from being a burden to others
Yeah.
a decade, 2, 3 decades later,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So what does that look like? It goes back to our 5 factors, right? How is your sleep? Sleep is a tough one when you have young children. It makes sense, but
Yeah.
then overall, when you look at in the course of longevity in your life, well, what does it mean for you to just do the best with your sleep in this season? Right?
Totally. Totally.
What does it mean to do the best with your food options in this season? Right?
Yeah.
How does it look to best manage your emotional health and relationships in this season?
Totally.
And where does your money go in this? Because even money, we're not a financial podcast and this is not financial advice, but we talked about like our pillars, right? We're working on this new series or this new framework of how and who we want to operate in 2033. So a decade from now,
Yeah.
right? I look at life as in 5 pillars, right? There's your mental and emotional health,
Yeah.
right? There's your spiritual health, there's your physical health, and there's your financial health. You cannot avoid it because everything affects everything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So even financially, like what are the things that you're in this season invested in to benefit you and everyone around you in the next season?
Mm. Mm. So tying that back into the fitness, like how does your financial health and even mental and emotional health, like how does that like all come back to like fitness in this decade of 40 to 50?
Yeah, so I think
because financially you look different at 40 to 50 than you do in your 20s.
Absolutely.
I think that's probably
so
a guarantee.
Yeah, I see like your 20s as like you're in a season of life where you have a lot of time to trial and error, try things, quit things, figure out what you like and don't like. In your 30s, you're in a position of like, okay, I've tried this stuff, and it's important for me to figure out what am I really going to put time into now.
Yeah.
Right. And then in your 40s, it's kind of like, okay, you're kind of like super doubling down, but you're also refiguring out some of the things in your life of like what is actually you probably have like your second or third well, this would be your first midlife crisis, but your second or third moment of crisis in your life.
Yeah.
Of like, who am I? What are the things that I care about?
Yeah.
What are the things that I want to do? Right.
Yeah.
Like in a very serious way. And you start to as you navigate that space, you're asking yourself, yeah, like, I always say like there's 2 things that tell you exactly who you are. 2 things that you can audit right off the bat, right? Like, it's just sitting across from us right now, right? Like, it's like I can look at him, ask him 2 questions that I know. I can ask you, I can ask anybody in the room outside, hey, let me look at your wallet. Like, let me literally look at your bank statements.
Yeah.
And then let me show me your calendar.
Yeah.
If I look at those 2 things based on what's in those 2 things, I know exactly who you are. And that's just the simple truth. Is if I can audit those 2 things, do those 2 things reflect a person that takes good care of themselves?
Totally. Totally. Yeah.
It'll tell you right off the bat.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's like have you seen those YouTube shorts of people like interviewing random people at the mall or off the street, and they're like the interview goes, how much money do you have in your bank account right now, like in your checkings right now?
I have not seen
You
that.
haven't seen those?
I have not seen that.
Oh man,
Man, how
it's
many?
gonna make you sick to your stomach,
Who's gonna tell you the truth? Like, jeez.
dude. There are like some people who literally say like, I have $111 in my bank account right now,
I mean,
savings.
if that's the truth, right? But
Right.
I think
But anyway, going back to that
no.
though.
When I'm going back, that's interesting because I would be like, I'm not telling you. Like, I'm not putting that on YouTube.
Fair.
Yeah, going back to what I was saying about.
What's up? Oh yeah. Going back to going back to what you're saying though about like what that means in like in the decade. I'm actually it's funny because it reminded me of like what you posted on Instagram the other day. I'm gonna bring it up real quick because I think it's
Sure.
important. But you said in this stage between the ages of 40 to 50, you kind of essentially summarize it as like a dividends disperse. But like in this stage, you begin to reap what you've sown. If you've taken care of your health, you'll feel it as you notice your peers falling off. So that's actually something important to talk about. But you said if you've steward well financially,
Yeah.
you'll be unwavering during a downtime. If you've invested into your emotional health well-being, you'll notice that you're more resilient to contention and the adversities of life. And I think what you're essentially trying to build an analogy to is like the same goes for your fitness.
Absolutely.
If you invest in your fitness, you can watch
Yeah.
like your peers, not that you want them to,
Yeah.
right? But like you by nature, by virtue of you being fitter and you pursuing that,
Yeah.
your community is just gonna
Yeah.
kind of like
Yeah.
degrade.
I mean, I was talking to Holly Ugali's husband, Brian.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Is he in his 40s?
he's in his 40s, and the
Man.
man is Shreadzilla.
Yeah.
Right. Dad of 3. He has a pair of twins, and the man is healthy. Like,
Yeah.
Like, he looks great. I bet you he feels great. And he and I are talking about some of the things that he's focused. I'm not going to share because it's personal business, but kind of where he's headed. He just was asking me for. He basically reached out and called me. Was like, "Hey, do you do like?" He goes, You're probably not gonna like this question, but like, I sense or see that you like do some form of life coaching, right?" And I was like, in short, yes, I can see that,
Yeah.
but like, I don't label it as that. But I guess that's what the average person would call it.
Yeah.
But I would like to mention I hate that label, right?
Yeah.
And we're talking, and we're just kind of going back and forth on what he really wants to focus on, how I kind of got into what I started doing maybe half a decade ago, and then we're just talking about like where we're at in life. Excuse me. And I'm not 40 yet, and this isn't to like when I share these things, it's not to flex. It's not to say like, oh, like look at me, I'm great. But it is me looking back at a decade of my life and having a lot of reflection, because I believe that our abilities to look back and reflect on our lives previously is what allows us to step into the future. And as I reflect, I'm driving, and he's on my speakerphone, and I'm like, Brian, dude, honestly, life's really good. Life is really good, man.
Yeah.
And I feel purposeful in the things that I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm healthy. I'm striving towards more in terms of achieving more with my physical fitness.
Yeah.
There's still more to gain. I don't feel like I'm at the peak of where I could be, which is exciting. And I'm just overall in a great spot. But the root of it has been nearly a decade of intentionally taking care of myself.
Yeah.
And I have to say that has been the root of where the success has come. One of my mentors in 2020, Eric Bach, he mentors a lot of coaches, and he calls fitness the force multiplier in your life.
Mm-hmm.
So he says fitness is the force multiplier in your life, because when you get a handle on your fitness, it multiplies everything else. It amplifies it's kind of like money. Like, it amplifies who you already are,
Yeah.
but it makes it better.
Totally.
Right? Like, I believe that being fitter makes me a better husband. I feel like being fitter makes me a better financial steward of money.
Yeah.
A steward of money, sorry, not financial steward of money, but I believe that being fitter makes me a better dad. It makes me a better friend. I'm a nicer person to be around,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm emotionally healthy and more willing to engage in the um, maybe emotional side of things, the mental side of things that maybe when I'm not physically healthy, I don't feel as keen to address.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? It opens up Pandora's box.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll cut it there. That's fitness in your 40s, 50s. Thanks for tuning in, guys.